7'4" Canadian college basketball phenom Zach Edey is currently shocking everyone at this year's NBA Draft Combine, as there were some questions about his game translating over into the NBA, but right now he is silencing the Zach Edey haters, and he is hyping up the folks that are currently supporting him, rooting for him to take that next step in his basketball evolution entering the NBA. So we're going to discuss what he's currently doing and how he projects in this year's NBA Draft, because there's still a legitimate possibility, a legitimate chance the Raptors are able to scoop him up despite losing their lottery pick in this upcoming NBA Draft. But before we dive into all of that, yesterday's vid, I asked for something different. I asked for you guys to like the video, a little experiment to see how it impacted the vid, and it actually really helps. So I'm gonna ask for it again. I appreciate everyone that liked that video yesterday, and if you're enjoying the content and want daily Raptors news updates, make sure you guys hit that like button on this video here today. But let's dive into what's been going on, because Zach Edey is a big name in this year's NBA Draft, but wasn't really projected as one of those top draft picks. And this came as a surprise to some people, that watch college basketball, but are confused about how the game would translate over. Why wouldn't it? Because looking at the stats, he's a lot better than those big man, slow-footed prospects we've seen in the past that, are hyped up in college, but never really were able to find their footing, make their mark in the NBA. I mean, looking at Zach Edey's stats, just last season averaged 25 points per game, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 62% from the field. The three-point percentage was a very small sample size. We won't look at that, but shot even 71% from the free throw line. It's not phenomenal, but it's not bad. There's some positive things there, all around with Zach Edey's game. So some people have been looking at that and saying, hey, why on earth isn't he a top 10 pick? College basketball player of the year, all of that type of stuff, made a deep sort of NCAA tournament run. How on earth are people sort of overlooking this guy? Because, again, there's also the intangibles. He's 7'4", right? He's an unstoppable force underneath the basket, 300 pounds, but there were some questions. Firstly, his age, he's 22 years old. Older basketball prospects just don't really get that love, get that limelight. I'm going to talk about that later in this video, but the two real big things. Firstly, and this is less so, but not much of a shooter. Didn't take many shots over the course of college. Most of his buckets came from inside the paint, little post hooks, gorgeous touch around the basket, but, wasn't shooting threes, wasn't knocking down space on the floor, which is important in the modern NBA. But if you're a guy that can catch lobs, and he's not going to be, a Derek Lively in the sense, catching lobs to immediately finish down alley-oops with dunks, but he is a guy that can catch lob passes and finish around the basket. So, all that gravity that people are talking about with, not wanting defenders to just completely lay off him and be able to help off, the Raptors draft him, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes driving the lane. Those guys drive. There's a major sort of target you can lob it up to, and even if he's not catching it and lobbing it down, if he catches it high, keeps it high, and then throws in a little post hook, Zach Edey's going to be able to score around the basket and not be a liability on offense. Anyone that's questioning Zach Edey's ability on the offensive end, I think is foolish. I think it's madness. We've even seen guys like Boban Marjanovic be one of the most efficient players in basketball out there on the offensive end. But really the issue with these big man prospects, these big lumbering dudes, and the eye test from Zach Edey as well in college is he mobile enough to guard on the defensive end, at the NBA basketball level? Because, again, we know he's going to be able to play help side defense. The dude is 7'4", average 2 blocks per game in college. He's going to be able to swat some shots. Anyone comes inside the paint with him in there. So that's not something that anyone should really be concerned about, the block shots ability. But where these types of players get sort of cooked on the defensive end at the NBA level is in the pick and roll, when they're supposed to guard in space, because there's so many good shooters, there's so many great athletes in the NBA right now that they'll get blown by, that, Zach Edey could even make a late close, that even with this long sort of wingspan, people will just be able to knock down shots if he's playing off them too far. So basically, can Zach Edey guard? Is he mobile enough, to be out there at the NBA level? Well, again, the mobility, I get it. And this is just a couple videos that have come out. But that first sort of question about, his ability to guard in space, this video is coming out here in silence and some of the doubters. I mean, there's a bunch of these clips going to pull this one up here now. But in this sort of draft combine sort of mobility test, he's not going to be looking like quickly out there with this sort of mobility drills. But there's a lot of these vids coming out, and people are shocked. They are really impressed with his ability to sort of get around these cones, ability to slide left or right, and that was the lesser impressive was the video I could actually use in this vid. But basically, Zach Edey is out there looking pretty quick, a lot quicker than a lot of people expected him to be, coming into the NBA. Just go on Twitter and see what people are saying in regards to his mobility drills, all of those types of vids. I've watched that there all morning, but that's one thing that's really exciting about Zach Edey. And then the other aspect, which I already brought up, is the shooting. And again, 7'4", you're going to be able to score on the offensive end. But if you're also able to be a floor spacer, be a threat, if you're outside the paint or if you're in that mid-range area, that's going to be huge for your team as well, for whatever squad ends up drafting. Well, Zach Edey says he has a 3-ball in his game right now, is already looking forward to showing that, and doesn't look like a stretch here at the NBA Draft Combine, because what's really going on? Zach Edey finished 14 of 25 from deep in the three-point shooting test at the NBA Combine, good for 5th overall amongst all the draft combine prospects. So, people are saying he's just tall. You can see it here. And then shooting off the dribble. So in the 30 shots he took there at this point, shot 60% in jump shots off the dribble in these shooting drills that they're showing out there at this NBA Draft Combine, which is pretty crazy. And just behind him is Khalil Ware, which is another guy I'd be interested and intrigued, especially if Edey's not on the board for the Toronto Raptors draft. This video is not about Khalil Ware, but basically, Zach Edey is able to knock down some shots, is able to space the floor, and he's looking more mobile than people were sort of projecting entering this NBA draft. So those are the two biggest questions about Edey. Ability to shoot, can he guard in space? Those are starting to get answered at this combine, which means I think his draft stock should be significantly going up, given his size and tangibles and what he was able to do at the college basketball level. So, do the Raptors actually have a chance at drafting him? Because, again, we have the lottery pick. Certainly, we could have taken him with one of those picks too early. Might have been a little bit of a reach, given the projections right now. But, frankly, the most recent mock draft from NBA Tankathon.net.com, you can see it down there at the bottom. They have him going 30th in this year's NBA draft. Now, that if he falls to 30, I think if he's there at 19 and there isn't, a steal of a prospect, a guy that's on another level, and I trust the Raptor scouts to be a lot more tuned into these draft prospects than I am, but if Zach Edey's there at 19, I would be very comfortable with this team selecting Zach Edey there at this point. So if he's falling all the way to 30th, if he falls to 31, this is mock draft has him going, one pick before that, then I could be proven wrong. We got Pascal Siakam. I remember Scalabca almost fell to the Raptors in that 2016 draft. We drafted an unknown, and Pascal Siakam obviously ended up becoming, number 2 option on a championship team, an all-star, all that type of stuff. So I'll be open to whoever we draft, but if he's there at 31 and we don't select him, that is crazy. That would be a bold move by Masai Ujiri. Now, other sort of mock drafts have him going a lot earlier. Right now, basically Zach Edey going 15th. According to this mock draft here at this point, which, again, the Raptors have the 19th as well as 31st pick in this year's NBA draft. So there's a chance he does get selected before, that 19th pick for the Toronto Raptors. But, again, it's tough to really tell. It's tough to really tell what NBA teams are going to do. This draft class seems like a complete unknown for a lot of things in terms of the actual draft order. It seems like a lot of guys that have some potential but no clear overwhelming. Everyone has questions, right? Some have star potential, but all of them have also, bust questions about their game. So, I don't know. I'd be really, I'm not going to pretend that I'm some sort of draft expert. I watch highlights. I look at stats. That is what it is. I've never seen any of these guys play in person, so I'll trust the draft scouts. I don't bash on draft picks right away as they happen. But I'd be pretty happy if we got Zach Edey. That's sort of my take with this vid. He's shocking everyone. We'll keep you up to date on how our Canadian prospect is doing out here in Raptors Digest. But you guys have best thing as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.